Disclaimer: the following Boundless PodTrap episode contains strong opinions that some listeners may and will find offensive. If you cannot accept or respect others with a differing opinion from yours, then fuck off.
Rolling sound.
I like turtles.
Shush! Oh, righty. Let me see your war face.
Now, y'all ain't planning on fucking these chickens, are you?
Picture it. Sicily, 1920.
Aren't we fucking funny?
Streaming from the Midwest, right in the middle of the U.S. From Omaha, Nebraska, you're listening to the Boundless PodTrap, your entertainment podcast where we touch on all topics, from the crazy and absurd to the sacred and profane, and even the useless and unnecessary. The Boundless PodTrap knows no bounds. And now, here are your hosts.
Welcome, everyone, to your favorite Monday morning activity. It's us. We're the Boundless PodTrap. I am Lonnie at the reins tonight. I am with my two favorite gentlemen. Jeremy, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing good.
Why does he gotta go first?
Because he's immediately to my left.
We're sitting in alphabetical order.
We said two favorite people, and there's actually four of us at the table, so who says you're even the second one?
Yeah. Paco, how are you?
I wish.
Justin, how are you, bud?
Not too bad. Moist?
You can't say that word.
Oh.
I giggle every time I hear the word moist. I was a optical technician for a while, and like we physically had to use the word moist with people. Like you can't go, you got wet eyes. So it was part of my everyday to be like, well, your eyes moisture is fine. I wish they could be a little bit more moist and watch people cringe. I was like, ha ha, best part of my day.
I think telling somebody they have moist eyes is worse than you have
like,
wet eyes.
You're like, baby, you got some moisture in your eyes.
And
that's good.
Why you don't do that anymore.
Ben Stein will be fine with that.
Yeah. Did you say R.L. Stein?
Ben Stein.
Oh. I was like, what?
But we do have a very special guest tonight in our wings. He's not going to be doing much talking, but he'll be doing lots of cringing. It's Michael. He's here with us tonight, too.
He's not going to do any talking at all.
Zero talking. He doesn't have a microphone, but he's here in spirit with us tonight.
We need supervision.
We need adult supervision.
We do, Justin.
I'm not entirely sure he's qualified.
We snuck into his house and set up our gear. we're podcasting. He has a lovely incense burning.
He does. It smells good.
It does.
It's jasmine?
It smells like Ricola.
I hope it's not jasmine. Last time I had jasmine anywhere near my body, I broke out in hives and rashes.
That's no bueno.
It was not. It was right after I got waxed.
Oh.
Last time I had jasmine near my body, the bouncer told me to get away.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
See, Jasmine was a girl who takes off her clothes for money.
Does Aladdin know about this?
She says she really likes you, but she just does it to get more money.
Oh. Is that the one with the Adam's apple? She's cute.
That's gross.
Well, another thing about this episode, I know our last couple episodes we've been getting kind of heavy, talking about a lot of hate in this world, but tonight, no hate. Tonight we're going to have a lot of fun and a lot of love, and since I'm at the helm, I wanted to dedicate this episode to some people out there that I absolutely love. This episode tonight is dedicated to my dead girls. This episode tonight is dedicated to all the goth girls of America. So all my traditional goth, my cyber goth, my gothabilly girls, my dead girls, my goth queens, all the girls who turned me down in high school because I had too much acne and I was too skinny. I remember you, Melissa, but...
Ooh, what was her last name?
I have no idea.
You do too.
I'm not going to say it on the podcast.
Have we talked about this?
The odds of her listening to this.
She's not Stacy Lubash. So no, but this
you dated Stacy?
Anywho,
Don't touch my sister.
This podcast is dedicated to all you. The four of us here love you. We want to support you in any way possible. So this podcast is dedicated to you. Now, dead boys, we love you too, but this is for our girls tonight.
I do want to take this opportunity to wish a happy belated birthday to our number one fan, my sister Stacy Lubash.
Yeah.
Her birthday was on Friday.
Happy birthday.
Stacy.
I didn't know we were going to play jock jams.
There was nothing else queued up. It was the last thing that was in the tape.
Like, we literally went from goth girls to happy birthday to fucking jock jams.
And you want to know? Do you want me to take it to another level? Because I do have one thing in our open topic thing that I kind of want to talk about.
Yeah, go for it, buddy.
And then you can completely have the reins. But
give it back to him.
So my sister's birthday was on Friday, but Friday was also another anniversary of September 11th, 2001, 19 years ago.
Way to bring down the mood.
I thought we weren't going there.
Well, I mean, I didn't want to talk necessarily bad about it. I just, to think that was 19 years ago already is kind of incredible.
I was in first period gym class.
And that's what I was going to say. Do you guys remember, like, that one country song, Where Were You on That September Day?
I stayed home from school sick that day. And I remember it because I faked being sick. I just didn't want to go to school. But I came out of my bedroom, and my mom was still sitting in her chair watching the news, just all color drained out of her face. And
I think there was a grace period on spankings.
Right. It was right before the second plane hit the tower, when it was still, like, seen as an accident. And I remember standing there by her as the second plane hit the tower, when they realized the shit was going down. And it was, like, at that moment that you realized that the country was going to change. But then, like, over the next 19 years, how many times have we seen the country change?
We're currently in a change.
Right after that, I joined. I signed up.
I
went to my second period, and I said, I'm signing up.
Did you really?
No, it was like 2 years later.
I was so pissed off. The only thing, like, I get that 9/11 happened, and it affected a lot of people differently. I was so pissed off because I had tickets to go see Knotfest.
Paraday?
What's that? I was excited to go see Knotfest, and it got canceled. And I was like, fucking, and that's when I was super patriotic. I was like, you cancel my shows, you feel my wrath.
See, I remember I was in drumline, which correlated with being in band. I was a band nerd. I knew it. I saw your finger twitching. But we had been outside practicing on the football field, our competition and stuff like that. And when we came in, I played the big bass drum. And like we're walking in, I just remember the assistant band director was inside, just glued to the TV. And I just remember seeing downtown New York with like smoke, and I thought like a bomb had gone off or something like that, or there was a gas leak. And I think it was right when we came in was pretty much when the second plane hit. And second period, I worked in the office and I delivered notes to the different classrooms. I had a stack of notes so big of notes for kids to tell them, like, your dad's safe, his plane wasn't one of the planes and stuff. And I remember going into classrooms where kids were crying because they thought that, it could have been their parents' plane or whatever. So it was crazy. And then I remember I only had a half a day. I think I only had like 4 periods. And my dad picked me and my best friend up, whose name was Michael, not the Michael sitting at the table with us. He wouldn't have been in high school at that time.
I was going to say, he was really held back.
He was going through menopause at that point. But
21 Jump Street.
We were in the back of his truck driving home, and I just remembered there was hardly any traffic outside, and it was so silent outside. No air traffic, nothing. It was eerily silent. And I just remember my buddy stayed at my place, and I had a trampoline out back, and we were just kind of on the trampoline, and I just remember seeing a plane start flying, and we both were just creeped out by it, like what all planes have been grounded. Well, it was Air Force One flew straight over my house, so yeah, very, very eerie. And then I just remember at nighttime too, like that was the only time I can remember in history where every single TV station was live news or it was off air because of the attacks. So it was,
the only time during all that where I got somewhat emotional because when I was young, I was a very anarchistic kid. Like I was anarchy to the United States hardcore. And the only thing about the whole 9/11 thing that made me somewhat emotional was when hockey came back. It was a New York Rangers versus, I think, the New York Islanders.
You might have to explain that for some of our listeners.
So there's a professional game that's played on ice called hockey.
Hey?
That a bunch of Canadians brought to the States. Well, anyway, so the Rangers versus the Islanders, both teams out of New York played. And when they had the national anthem, literally the guy singing it was bawling, and the whole entire crowd just took over singing it. Every single member of the crowd. The announcers were crying, the players were crying. It hit me then that it's like, well, fuck, like everything I believed in, like hating the country for and the government for, like how petty I was.
It's kind of crazy when something like that happens, and then that's when we kind of band together. And
right.
Like, why do we need something so drastic to respect each other?
Well, I was a 15-year-old kid spraying anarchy signs on the sides of building, and
then again, that's not entirely correct because there were so many people who aren't even of the culture. Like anybody from Middle East, like I knew Mexicans who were getting looked at like terrorists. Like,
right?
Are you fucking serious? That's the person who's selling oranges. I can't say that.
How do you think it would if 9/11 would have happened now, like this? If it happened this 9/11, this past Friday, how do you think the world would react to it nowadays with how things are?
With Trump in office, half the people in the United States would probably be like, "Oh, they're such good people. Give them their rights. Iraqi lives matter."
I think everybody would, I think, would ignore the fact of like the thousands of people that lost their lives, and it would be pointing the fingers at Trump or whomever it may be. And
the thing is there's people who do that already. Like there's some people who think the whole thing's just a conspiracy, like it didn't happen. It's like there's no wreckage or what is it? Did you see the videos?
Well,
right. There's clearly a plane.
People talk about how it looked like a controlled
fire burn,
implosion and stuff.
Yeah.
And I've watched videos on that, and it's like some of the stuff does actually make sense as to where it could have been like staged and pre-planned and all this stuff. But I mean, when push comes to shove, I don't believe any of that. I mean, that's just, I don't know, insane.
Changing the subject, talking about detonation. Man, what was that kid's name we watched that video of today?
Oh, Ronnie McNutt.
Oh, talk about a detonation. Holy fuck.
Did you from the look on your face, Justin, I can imagine
Ooh-wee.
that. So Ronnie McNutt was this guy who on August 31st, he committed suicide on Facebook Live. He had a shotgun under his chin and blew his head open, and I stumbled across the video, and it's sorry I did. I mean, they took it down off of everything, but I think Facebook had it down immediately, but TikTok had it up a little bit longer. People were posting it on there. I think it's off of those places, but enough other sites that specialize in like gore videos have it up there. But yeah, this guy was early 30s, I think 31 or something like that, 30 or 31. He's a veteran, and apparently he had lost his job, and his girlfriend broke up with him, and so he was on Facebook Live, and the amount of people, like he was in the video, was talking about like how he was just going to end his life and stuff, and the amount of people that were trying to reach out, like you can hear like the dings of like his messenger going off. When people call on Facebook, that little ringtone, that was constantly going. And then I'm assuming it was his girlfriend that finally called him. And, he's like, oh, so that's how it's going to be? And then he hangs up the phone. He's like, well, that's it, everybody. And then just blows his... The goriest thing I've seen. It's eerie because, right when he blows his head off, his phone starts ringing. It's this really weird song. And then once it stops, I mean, you can just hear the blood trickling on the floor. And, I mean, he's hunched over in a computer chair. He has a dog that comes out in the other room once it heard it, and then the police immediately arrive because people must have been calling to say somebody needs to get over there. This guy's gonna do damage to himself, and very sickening.
Long story short, and the reason I bring this up is things might suck, and your friend might be having an issue that might not mean anything to you, but that thing might be the worst thing your friend has ever been through in their entire life. Just because it doesn't mean shit to you doesn't mean it's not the end of their world. So
better safe than sorry.
Right. If you see somebody struggling, fucking do something. Like, there's hotlines they can call. There's websites they can go to. Just don't be a dickhead. If you see someone struggling, like, fucking make a phone call. Send a Facebook message. Do something. Do a quick drive-by to make sure they're okay. If someone is fucking struggling, do your fucking humanity's best. Don't let that happen. Like, as people, I know a lot of people don't get along and we don't like each other, but shit like that shows how much people are weak right now.
Right.
Like, we used to be strong people, and that's the thing. As a community, we need to be strong, but there's too much making us weak. And that's the product of weakness.
I think a lot of people think about talking as a weakness. It's like, it doesn't make you weak. You know, it just makes you human.
No, exactly.
I think in a lot of cases, not all cases, but I think a lot of people think that these people that are depressed and putting it out there like they're going to kill themselves, think they're just doing it for attention.
Absolutely
And,
not.
you know, there's a possibility that they could be doing it for that, but wouldn't you rather take the precautions, talk to them? And, you know, a lot of times they're going to throw it back in your face like he was doing in the video, too. Like, when people were commenting and he was like reading it, he's like, oh, now all you care, and that when you didn't care before and stuff like that. I mean, a lot of times they're not going to want to listen to you, but, you know, do what you can, because suicide, unfortunately, is, I don't know the percentage. I don't have a computer in front of me, but I mean, that's a high percentage of a lot of deaths, especially lately.
With our veterans too.
Right. Yeah. Well, and if you have trouble, there is, like, you can call. It's 1-800-273-8255. 1-800-273-8255. It's the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. You can call that, and it's a faceless person to you. It's someone you don't know, so you don't have to be so worried about letting your guard down. It's not a friend who's going to make fun of you later. It's not a person that's going to lose respect for you. It's someone there to help you. And
if you're a person that is struggling with depression and you have the thoughts of suicide, you know, that is never the answer. I mean, it's not going to solve any problem. It's going to create more problems. Think of your loved ones that you're going to leave behind. And I mean, that's the thing. They love you. So when you think that nobody loves you, I guarantee you there's a handful of people out there that love you and care for you.
Right.
So, yeah, we're getting really emotional here.
Right.
Happier note.
I know, yeah. And I said this was going to be a fun episode. Now we're getting all that out.
Now on to Goth.
Guess what I stumbled across in my memory feed.
Wasn't my penis, was it?
Something about unemployed?
It was. We just had the premiere not too long ago.
2 years ago.
That was BC.
Dang.
Before COVID. And
wow, that's crazy. 2 years ago, right? I remember those premieres like they were yesterday.
They were almost 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah. Wow. That was probably one of the best moments in my life, were those premieres.
I wasn't there.
I didn't know you at the time. I had met you at the time, but I didn't know you at
kind of
the
feel
time.
like you didn't care, you know.
Yeah. I didn't.
You popping mints over there?
No, they're ex.
Our listeners can't smell your breath.
Good, it's probably best for them.
So
we ate a whole bunch of teriyaki beef jerky while we were hanging out today.
yeah, and then I had teriyaki express tonight with a bunch of cabbage.
Baby shit it is. Anyway,
So
enough of all this. Let's get on to our first segment of the night. We talked about how this night's dedicated to our goth sisters. So let's dive into Hollywood and cinema. Some of the goth people that we appreciate the most, that a lot of people don't really talk about or get into. So fellas, who were some of the goth people in cinema and Hollywood and other forms of media that you guys appreciate and like?
So it's hard for me to classify a human as gothic. I mean, I was more towards characters.
Well, and yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like for me, it's like Winona Ryder's character in Beetlejuice.
Son of a bee, that was my second one on my list.
I was going with like a whole bunch of pretty much Tim Burton as a whole.
Yeah, of course. Like somebody for me who is big is the Soka sisters. And you're both giving me those odd looks. So they're writers, they're directors. They turn over my notes here. They did American Mary. They did See No Evil 2. They did a segment on ABCs of Death 2. Oh, yeah. And they did a show on the Game Show Network called Elevator.
I've heard of Elevator.
Yeah.
Never watched
it.
So
they were hands in making that. They're just people who lived the horror and then gothic lifestyle that don't get nearly the respect they do.
Elvira was top on my list.
Absolutely, yeah.
Not Cassandra Peterson, but
she was on my list too.
I think a lot of Anne Rice works was on mine. Interview with the Vampire and all that. Well, pretty much just vampires in general.
Edward Scissorhands.
That's one I had.
Mr. Depp.
Marilyn Manson.
Hex yeah.
The Boulay Brothers.
9 Inch Nails. Typo Negative.
Christina Ricci for me.
Oh, that was a childhood crush.
Well, I kind of have her as Wednesday Addams. So.
Exactly, yeah. You know, funny story about Christina Ricci. She is, that list of 5 that you get, like your hall pass list.
Your acceptables.
Yeah, she's number 1 on my list, just if you're listening, which you're not. But Christina Ricci, you are number 1 on my list. And it was...
She's on my list of women that will reject me.
So, 8 or 9 years ago, me and Tracy were in Long Beach, California, and she was 100 yards away with her very large black security guard, and I spot her, and I go, Tracy. She's like, what? I'm like, it's Christina Ricci. And she's like, go for it. I'm like, I'm gonna. And then her big security guard stands next to her, who's like double her and double me at the time.
So he's only 4'2".
Yeah, he's barely pushing 5'3". And I was like, oh. She's like, go for it, stud. And I'm like, uh-oh. So, yeah, that was my
Did you?
No, fuck no. I still have the majority of my teeth.
If she really was on your list, you would have done it.
Probably.
I'm going to add Paige from WWE Wrestling.
Ooh, yeah.
And she can also be considered in the next list that you told us to do of names. You said porn stars, which we'll get to next. You could technically put her in that as well.
She's definitely done that.
Neil Gaiman.
Neil Diamond?
Fuck you. I hate that man so much.
Did you say Neil Diamond?
Gaiman?
Oh.
The Dreaming Sandman?
Do you know what I hate about Neil Gaiman the most? He is responsible for the Necronomicon, and a lot of people don't realize that. Like, something that is in horror lore all over the place. Fucking Neil Gaiman wrote it. He made it up. Huh. So, like, Evil Dead, Friday the 13th.
He wrote those?
No, he made up the Necronomicon.
The reference of,
No, he did not write Friday the 13th.
No, he didn't, but
Jeremy's actually?
No, but no, he made up the Necronomicon. Like, it's his creation. And it always pisses me off because a lot of stories I love are based around the Necronomicon, and I can't fucking stand Neil Gaiman's writing. Like, it's like nails on a chalkboard to me.
He was awesome. I really liked the Dreaming series. Yeah, it was wicked awesome.
I don't know this, so...
They're comics. What about, like, Repo, the genetic opera? That was an awesome gothic opera.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I saw... I think I did see that.
It's bloody. You would like it.
Yeah. A girl that used to model for us, and Glamour Girls, introduced me to that.
I think
it's very
interesting.
interesting.
She's in it. Like, bull.
She's not in it. She introduced me to it.
She can't sing.
Here's one that I'm surprised neither of you haven't said. Fruza Bulk.
Oh, I was going to say her. I got her down. The Craft was an awesome one. Mm-hmm. I kind of assumed she was probably one of your top. Is she up there in your top 5?
Yeah.
She was, like, when I was doing research, too, on this, like, on all the websites I went to, she was, like, number 1 on every single one of them. And to be honest with you, I would have put her on my list, but I didn't know how to pronounce her last name. I think it was. So I have Allison Reynolds, the character from Breakfast Club that was played by Ali Sheedy.
Yeah, good one.
I think she was definitely probably one of the first goth people that I remember clearly being like of that goth descent.
Robert Smith.
Oh yeah, The Cure.
That was
surprised you haven't
one of the originals. Actually, I believe Bajas was one of the original goths, I should say.
Yeah. Catherine Isabel from Ginger Snaps.
Oh yeah. I actually just almost watched that too.
We should have had a computer up so I can look, because it's like the names don't do anything for me, but I'm sure faces would definitely.
So the girl who turns into a wolf in Ginger Snaps,
sister,
the older of the two sisters.
I'm kind of drawing a blank, but
don't blank out on the podcast.
It's not entertaining.
Well, let's switch over to our adult film actress, goth girls.
This is a short list for me.
I got two.
I have two. You already know one page.
Yeah. I got Liz Vicious, who you both know I'm very fond of.
Related to Sid Vicious?
Very not much, no. And I got Sasha Grey.
Sasha Grey is a good one. I didn't even think about her.
Yeah. She's an either or as well. She's been in a couple of horror movies as well.
She reminds me of a
horror.
Horror. Either way you want to pronounce it.
So, yeah, like I said, there's really only one that was on my list. I didn't add Paige to it until after I added her to the other list. But Christy Mack.
Oh yeah,
is probably my favorite.
She got beat the shit out of by her ex. Was it War Machine?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She got beat the fuck bad.
How long ago was that?
Oh, probably.
Was it
4 or 5 years ago?
Don Cheadle?
Don Cheadle?
What?
Isn't he War Machine?
Well, very different. Very not as tan. War Machine.
Man. Yeah.
No, ex-UFC fighter.
Yeah.
Oh. No.
I didn't have any adult film actresses because
way to show up for the wife.
I don't watch any of that, so.
Oh, okay.
If you were, you do want to read any off Jeremy's list?
His how many pages is that?
Well, it's like how many notebooks? That's a lot. Just off the top of your head, name one.
I got none.
Do you want me to read it for you?
Yeah.
Do you want me to read Michael's list? I know he created a list.
Where is it?
Here it is.
He's got a scroll?
There, it's in front of you now. Read it. Do you really not have any?
I don't.
You are so
fucking sane over here.
This guy.
Say
I must have missed the memo.
Saint Justin of the Prudity.
Yeah. Look, my Wi-Fi was blocked and I couldn't. Like, I have parental controls. It's for
your 4-year-old
kids, and I'm recovering.
That's why we come. That's why we come over to Michael's. There is no blockage on anything here.
Well, unfortunately,
you go in the bathroom. You're like, hey Alexa,
toilet TV,
play PP movies.
But I have seen over this last week. I have seen what was it? A 32-inch TV on a fucking refrigerator.
That is crazy. Yeah, the technology on that fridge, it was like a 52-inch TV on the refrigerator.
There's more going into that than just keeping the stuff cool.
I would, if I had a big TV on my refrigerator, I would invite people over for movie night, and we would just sit on the island in the kitchen watching movies on there.
I tried to hoist my leg up on the island. I'm still sore from that.
When did you hoist? You're talking about last night?
Yeah.
Okay, so for those listening, we had a run through for the first Short E Films movie that I wrote and will be directing called One More Body. We had the whole cast and crew there last night at the place we're filming, doing a walkthrough and stuff like that. So we had pictures taken by Michael, but Lonnie was apparently. When did you jump up on a counter?
I tried for.
Yeah.
I tried to get up
towards
the
end. He tried to do the Van Damme kitchen counter time cop little thing. It didn't work.
Yeah, I could only get one half of leg up on the counter.
Yeah.
Why was this not being filmed?
Because it was a very impromptu.
Okay.
It's like I'm Lonnie Elder, and this is Jackass.
Do you guys miss that show?
No, not at all.
I do. The original, like the first like season or two, was entertaining in my immature years.
I can't do puking, man.
It depends. I think there was only one time when they were puking where just talking about it's making me want to gag. I think it was in Jackass 3 when they had that Preston, the heavyset guy. They wrapped him in saran wrap and were making him do exercise, and they had a funnel that was getting all of his sweat into a cup, and then Steve-O drank it. And, yeah, definitely did not like that at all.
Bringing it back to some of those goth things.
Bam Margera?
Yeah.
He's kind of goth.
Yeah, and actually he's supports one of my favorite bands, I guess, His Infernal Majesty. Him.
Is he still around? Like, yeah, I thought that he was very, like, I mean, I don't mean like, is he still around, like, still alive? I know he's still alive, but it's like he's still in the public eye, because I know he got really depressed after his buddy Ryan Dunn.
He went to church, and now he's advocate of Jesus. And
Are you being serious?
No, I'm not.
I'm just...
I don't know what happened.
I am.
I know he's done a few things, and
see how he's doing.
I know he put on a significant amount of weight. Yeah. I think he's up like 100.5 pounds.
I know he was like on Dr. Phil or something like that too. Like when he was like rock bottom, I think Dr. Phil was trying to help him, but I haven't heard any updates on him or even like looked. Maybe we'll look at that because he is in the goth community. Yeah. So let's check up on Bam and see how he's doing. Michael, you've got a phone over there.
Call him real quick.
Look, yeah, call him. I know he's
on speed
dial, if that's still a thing.
Yeah, a few artists that have. Well, one of my favorite artists. They do a lot of like sci-fi goth style. Luis Royo and H.R. Geiger, both awesome goth sci-fi.
H.R. Puffin stuff.
I would be remiss if we didn't bring up my favorite band, AFI.
I was going to say that earlier, like, yeah,
I was trying
bring up Havoc.
I was trying to stick just to the ladies, since that was who the show is dedicated to.
Well, the lead singer of AFI, she's hot, dude.
I didn't know it was. I didn't know that it was strictly supposed to be females. I thought it
that
was
all... the twist.
All right,
twist, motherfuckers, twist.
I just that's the thing. It's like I don't know too many like.
We could sit here
people.
and discuss goth bands and goth dudes all day long till the cows come home.
Okay.
Like
you could.
Like Morrissey.
I couldn't. I don't know too many.
Lacuna Coil.
That's a good band. Heaven's a Lie is their best song, I think.
Can be. It's up there.
Probably the only song of theirs. I think I did buy that one of their albums. I can't remember which one it was, but whichever one had Heaven's a Lie on it. It wasn't too bad. Lacuna Coil, haven't heard of them in a while. That's interesting.
They're from, well, a few of the members are from where my grandpappy's from, so gotta represent.
Where's that?
Milan.
I know that's your last name. Milani. So I'm so nervous. Lonnie just flipped a page in his notebook. I can only imagine.
All right. Well, since we talked about some goth and we talked about some less known things, I got a game this week for you to test your knowledge of more mainstream stuff.
Now this makes me nervous because did you say it's horror?
It's horror, yeah. So I got a horror-based trivia game for you guys this week. It's 10 questions, all based on mainstream horror movies. And when I say mainstream, you've definitely seen all these movies. But I want to know how much you paid attention to these movies. I mean, if you were texting through these movies or trying to horror movie and chill.
Making out?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to bust you on them. Some of these are going to be easy. You're going to get some, hopefully. But some of these, I'm going to make sure you're paying attention.
They're probably all going to be hard because, like, I've always said, like, I could watch horror movies a million times, but when it's, like, the pressure's put on for a game and stuff like that, my mind goes blank, and I can't. It's like once I know the answer, I'm like, yeah, I knew that.
So have we seen any horror movies together in theaters? Because I know usually when we go to theaters, we usually don't make out, but
it's before and afterwards.
yeah.
So switching subjects. So we're all 1-1-1 when it comes to
1-1
games.
and 1, yeah.
We tied last episode.
We did. So this game, how the point structure is going to work is I'm going to read the question. If you can get the question with no hints, you will get 2 points.
Can you get a handicap?
No.
Damn.
Because you know just about as much as horror as we do.
I'd probably say I'm a lesser. You guys are just greats. We got the kaiju over here. And
So you get the question right with no hints, it's 2 points. If I got to give you a hint, it's 1 point. Okay?
And we just say the answer if we know it?
Yeah, it will say stop. And,
Okay.
all right? 10 questions. 10 questions. You ready?
Yes.
All right. Question number 1. What was Jason's mother's name?
Stop. Son of a...
Mom. Voorhees.
Okay.
Incorrect.
Pamela Voorhees.
Very good.
That was for me.
You're taking score. You're writing the score down?
Yeah.
Lonnie, okay. So that's the only one I'm going to get.
See, like I said, some of them are easy.
Wait, what did you say her name was?
Pamela.
Pamela.
I knew that. I didn't know that. I totally forgot.
All right, question number 2. Springwood was the home of child killer Fred Krueger. But what state is Springwood in?
Stop. Chicago? Illinois? Or in Illinois?
Incorrect.
I knew that was wrong.
Virginia.
Incorrect. All right. So this was only said.
I totally thought Halloween. I told you my mind goes crazy, and I was thinking
all right,
Halloween.
so this is for 1 point. The state has only been said in 2 movies.
What about a TV show?
Negative.
Not that Springfield.
So it's only been said in Friday the 13th, or Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and Nightmare on Elm Street 6. In number 6, it's at the very beginning of the movie.
Those are like the 2 that I've only seen like once. See, Friday the 13th, or God dang it, Nightmare on Elm Street's like the one series that I haven't watched that often.
I'll give you $5 if you give me a hint. This point's not worth it.
Give you guys 10 seconds.
Stop. Massachusetts.
Negative.
Fuck.
I'm just gonna guess Maine.
Incorrect. It was Ohio.
Wow.
So we both get a point. No.
Yeah.
All right, number 3. What was Michael Myers' sister Judith doing before she was killed?
Stop.
You were both at the exact same time. Michael, I confer to you. Who said it first? Justin got it first. What was she doing?
Answer. She was at the mirror brushing her hair.
That is correct.
Fuck you, Michael.
All right, number 4. Charles Lee Ray's soul is inside the Chucky doll in Child's Play.
Oh, damn it.
Oh, you guess. You just lost your turn.
At the store called...
Incorrect. All right.
Overzealous.
Charles Lee Ray is inside the doll of... Charles Lee Ray's soul is inside the doll of Chucky in the Child's Play movie. But what was his name by the police?
Quit picking the frickin' movies that I hate. I hate Child's Play movies. I don't like I think movies about dolls that kill people are dumb. I don't watch them, so you got me. I've seen Child's Play once when I was little, so I'm going to go with Leroy Jenkins.
That's fan-fucking-tastic. You should get half a point for that, but unfortunately that is incorrect. So this was his moniker that was given him by the police, like his serial killer name.
The Midnight Slasher.
Incorrect. It's said at the very beginning of the movie.
The Midnight Spanker.
Incorrect. 10 seconds.
The sewer junkie.
Incorrect.
I got nothing.
Negative. It was a Lakeshore Strangler.
So close. So close.
What other movie that I don't watch are you going to pick a question from?
All right, smart pants. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre was described as the ultimate blank due to its particular theme in the movie.
I don't even understand the question.
All right, I'll say it again. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre was described as the ultimate blank due to its particular theme in the
movie. I feel like this is an easy one. Did you already say it? Is it Massacre?
Ultimate Slasher?
Incorrect.
I still don't this is used with the promotion of it?
Negative.
It was in the movie?
Negative.
I'm still not quite sure.
I think the wording of this is
This was wording straight from a trivia site.
And who put the trivia site together?
I don't know.
How are you doing on Bam Margera over there?
So, if I can have you give a hint.
Has nothing to do with horror or the horror genre. It has everything to do with a subculture that has nothing to do with horror.
And what is it again?
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre was described as the ultimate blank due to a particular theme in the movie.
Yes.
10 seconds.
Family Values?
Incorrect.
The ultimate date night.
Next question.
Date night.
Incorrect. So, Texas Chainsaw Massacre was seen as the ultimate pro-vegetarian film.
I've never once freaking heard that about the Texas Chainsaw. I think this site made that up.
That is due to all the deaths were seen as the way animals were slaughtered.
Huh. Nope.
Due to me, I thought I knew everything about that movie.
So is this supposed to, prevent you from eating people?
It's making you feel empathy for the animals.
Some of those people had it coming, though.
Yeah.
That armadillo at the beginning had it coming.
All right, number 6. In The Exorcist, what was Captain Howdy's real name?
Stop.
Fuck. Go for it.
I coughed. Howdy Doody? I don't know.
Negative.
I don't know.
Captain Midnight? His real name.
Steve.
Negative. All right, so Captain Howdy is the demon she gets from the Ouija board. Captain Howdy is an actual demon that Karis is at. I don't know if it's Karis. The other priest is hunting for in Iran. What is that demon's name? 10 seconds.
Jazul.
No.
Ja Rule?
God.
4. 1 second.
Vanderbeek.
Negative. It's Pazuzu.
I was so close. I knew it was, yeah.
Told you the first one was the only one I was going to get.
All right, number 7. Finish the line. January Embers.
January, her like wildfire. Shit.
I got nothing. I have no sound in my ear headbone. There we go. No. I got nothing. Like
January Embers. Fuck, man. It's the poem in it. Yeah, I'm done.
My heart burns there, too.
Yep. That sounds about right.
Nothing. I got nothing.
All right.
I'm telling you, like, this is not. Apparently, I don't watch movies.
I thought these were.
I thought they were easy.
Some of them.
I don't pay attention to movies, I guess, for things like that.
All right. Finish this line from Pet Sematary.
Fuck. I saw that movie one time, like, back in, like, when I was, like,
They
8.
made a remake.
I didn't watch the remake of it, because I didn't want to watch it.
With the dude from Time Tracks, the original?
All right.
Yeah.
The line. Lay down. Play dead. It's the last line.
And shut your shit.
Negative.
And don't move.
Negative.
It's when he's finally killing the puppy, huh? Kitty?
The cat.
The cat, yeah. Nope.
Be dead.
Lay down, play dead, and be dead? Mm-hmm. That was horrible writing.
Do we have one or two more questions left?
Two more.
And we're tied 2-2?
2-2.
Nice.
We're going to have another tie.
What is the name of the puzzle box in the Hellraiser franchise?
Oh, boy.
I know this one.
Same here.
Again, Hellraiser's not one of my favorite. Pinhead, I didn't really care for him. Oh my god, I know it.
This isn't coming to me either. Give me a first letter starts with.
And then give me the second letter on.
10 seconds, boys.
Oh my god. This is going to be the biggest. Oh my god, when you tell us what it is.
The Cube.
It's the same name for the whole franchise. They say it in every movie.
Puzzle box.
It's not what you think it is. It's a very different name.
I know it, but I can't.
A hint?
The last word in it is configuration.
The Gateway to Hell configuration?
Negative.
Yeah.
That just made me not lose it completely.
It is the Lamont configuration.
I wouldn't have guessed that. Nope, never mind. It's been a while.
It's not what I was thinking, but once you said it, I remember it.
You know what sounds good right now? I can go for a Cinnabite.
Last question, and it's a pretty easy one, but I'll see if it'll stump you. I thought it was easy. I love this question, so I put it last. In House of 1,000 Corpses, what kind of dog almost bit off Deputy Nash's toe?
Stop. Oh, German Shepherd.
Wrong.
A Border Collie.
Wrong. Hint, it is a small, cute dog. 10 seconds.
You can't say taco dog. That's messed up.
Go.
Cocker Spaniel.
Yes.
Yeah. I won by 1 point.
Jeremy wins 3-2.
That's all you get.
Jesus.
Wow.
Whoa.
Well, our headphones work.
Whoa.
All right. I was just playing that whole time. I wanted you to feel comfortable.
Right.
And then
Some of those eye rolls were playing.
Of course, he puts a zombie movie at the...
It made me realize that I don't pay close attention to details in movies.
I'll give it to you. Some of those were difficult. But some of those I was shocked
there was
you
only
guys didn't get.
3 that were easy. Well, 2 technically that were easy. The Pamela Voorhees and then what was Michael Myers' sister doing. And then the last one I can play the scene in my mind, and a German Shepherd was the first thing. So, okay. Well, that was interesting. So, if we look at the board, I've won 2 games, and you've each won 1 game.
Yep, you're in the lead.
All right. Very cool. I almost feel like I'm going to have to add a game next week for the 2 of you to play. It'll be a quick game. It won't even take 5 minutes. So we'll add that. I didn't have a game plan for our next episode, so we're going to do it so the two of you can...
Strip poker for practice?
Yep.
All right.
Opposite. Put on clothes poker.
Oh, man.
What's next?
Well, I thought, I think we have the most fun when we're arguing, I think. So I thought we'd throw a couple debates in here for tonight.
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
And I'm mostly alone, so I'm used to debating.
Me too.
You're a master at that.
Yeah, I'm the master at debating. So why don't me and you go first here?
Okay.
Our debate question is... Hold on. Wait. Hold on.
I'll be over here, guys.
You're our judge, buddy.
I'm gonna sit it out.
I know. You don't have to debate. You just have to judge. All right. So we are given to task to bring one person back from the dead. That one person has to bring the world together. Bring world peace. Right?
Here in 2020.
Here in 2020, right now. That person is responsible for bringing peace to the world.
So let me get this straight so that the listeners understand what's going on here.
Sure.
You and I are debating this topic.
Yep.
We do not know what each other picked or who each other picked.
Yep.
Justin's going to hear both of our sides, and at the end, he's going to make a determination of who was more correct, I guess, because there's really no wrong or right.
Yeah, there's no wrong or right answer.
Who you are siding with a little bit more on the
I feel like
topic.
I would have. Yeah.
And then after this, you two are doing one, and I get to determine who I am.
I probably should have approached this differently and played to the judge's likings.
Oh, just play footsies with me under the table, and you got yourself a win.
This is a clear table, boys.
Yeah. Whoops. Put that away, Michael.
Just sitting over here baiting.
So I wrote this my thing down on paper, like the day after you did this. So I remember the main point of mine and stuff like that, but I didn't read through this and proofread it, so there might be some I might stumble through it. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Or do you want
Another thing too, we're limiting our debate to 4 minutes.
Okay, well,
so
I hope I can read this fast enough. So
I'll have the timer here going. I'll give you when you're 3 minutes. I'll flash you.
Oh boy.
Nice.
Okay.
So ready, go.
So this was a hard one to choose when it came right down to it, because these people had a message and made a difference back in the day when people actually listened and weren't stubborn and didn't crucify someone because of a differing opinion. If they were around today, they would be spit on and shit on by the ignorance that are human beings today. I could easily pick Martin Luther King Jr., who was an amazing man who had the balls to stand up for his beliefs and dreams. But today, if he were around, I could only imagine the anger and racism that would be flung in his direction. I sadly feel that there would be more hate than love if he tried to bring all races together here in 2020. I think his life would sadly end much like it did back in 1968. You could even bring Fred Roger, better known as Mr. Rogers from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, into the mix, but his kindness would be overlooked and he would be in the news more for allegations against him than for trying to spread love to everyone. People, again, back in the day were more open to someone trying to teach them things about treating everyone equal, whereas today people won't listen but instead only speak hate towards Mr. Rogers in an attempt to get him locked up in order to shut him up. I could even go on as far as to say Jesus Christ would be the one person who could save this world. I mean, the man died for our sins. What about him could possibly make someone hate him? Well, with how the world works these days, people would spend more time trying to prove that Jesus Christ of 2020 is a fraud and someone pretending to be him. They would much rather try to prove something negative than to report him as something positive in this world. The point of this is that my pick for bringing someone back from the dead to bring peace and love to the world is nobody. This world cannot and will not be saved by anyone. The ignorance and hate of today will always overrule the love and kindness. As long as there are media platforms to express one's opinions, this world will only get worse as hate, violence, and crime will rise more and more with each passing year. I think the only savior to this world would be a reset button.
Got 2 more minutes.
Well, that is all I have, is what I said.
No filibuster.
That there is no one person, there is no one person that would bring any love, peace to this world in 2020. They would get crucified, spit on, shit on, like I said. So I guess a reset button would be my my savior. So,
Wow.
not what you were expecting.
Well,
That's kind of
not that I want to follow you, dick.
goes against the rules because we still have a reset button. They can press it at any time.
Okay.
So it's not actually gone. So you might be disqualified. I will have to hear what Lawn Dog has to say, and then we will continue the debate. Closing remarks from here.
That was good.
Thank you.
As you were getting down, I was watching you read. I'm like, there's not a lot of space left on that. Where are we going here? I didn't write anything down. I'm just going to speak from the heart.
Okay. You're gonna. I was writing from the heart
Were
when
you?
I wrote that.
I mean, that was good. All right, I'll let you keep time.
Okay.
He put the pencil between his nipples and wrote.
I'm about getting there. I'm about needing a bra.
Oh, nice. Full cup.
You start, I'll go.
Full cup. All right. The person I would bring back to this world to hopefully save the world is kind of a biased pick, because I would bring back Frank Elder. Frank Elder is my grandfather. He was a hard man to live with, and he was an even harder man to please. But he had my back, and he would not only have my back, he could have every back of every person in this America. He would not coddle them. He would beat their ass into doing the right thing. He was a World War II veteran, which means he would stand up for this country, but he was also a loving and giving person, which means he will help you once he beats your ass to the ground. That is what we need. We don't need coddled. We don't need taken care of. We need someone to beat the shit out of us and tell us what we need to do. Everyone right now is too much on their high horse and taken care of. We need someone who is going to look you in the eye, punch you in that eye, and then tell you where to go to get that eye fixed. We don't need someone holding your hand across the street. We need someone like Frank Elder, who will not only beat you to death, but he will also protect you. That's who I would bring back to this world.
You have 3 minutes left.
That's all I got.
Any rebuttal?
Wait, I'm going to rebuttal against. I mean, like I said, one person is not going to bring any peace in this world.
So you hate his grandfather?
No, I did not say that.
That's okay.
I do agree with tough love. I think too many people are coddled these days, but also if you just do tough love, then you just get no respect. People are just going to disrespect you even more and throw hate and crap back in your way.
Right.
I think
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. That's why I think we need someone who doesn't care if they're liked. Like, so I think the people like Martin Luther King Jr. or Betty Roth or Anne Frank or the obvious people that people would want to bring back, they couldn't handle this time now. Like, the disrespect of the younger generation and just the overall, like, health of the nation, they would look at it and they'd be like, I want to go back to being dead.
I agree with that. It's hard because it's like we're competing, but it's just like I agree with a lot of the stuff he's saying.
And I completely agree with what you said too. That's why I was like, fuck, I gotta follow that. I agree with every single thing he said.
I really admire the respect you debaters have for each other.
So you're both wrong.
No, I also agree with a lot with Lonnie. I don't know his grandpappy personally, because I can't.
His grandpappy would punch you in the mouth for calling him a grandpappy.
Ate bacon and eggs, smoked a carton of cigarettes every day.
His grandpapa. Yeah. I do also agree with a lot of that. The whole nation coddling is, is pretty much a huge detriment. It's not doing anything, and people are getting that false sense of power. They feel like it's doing a lot. It's like, it's not, though.
Right.
It's really not.
And it's not that I don't agree with a lot of the things what the younger generation's fighting for. But you standing out with a sign complaining about it is not getting shit done.
I feel there's a lot of people out there fighting, and they don't even know what they're fighting for.
Right. When 75% of Black Lives Matter protests are done by rich white kids with trust funds, your organization is fucked.
Yeah.
When half of your organization fighting for you is wearing flip-flops, you're fucked.
Those are not
it's like
proper footwear.
That's not
like
riot material.
Like Justin said, most people don't know what they're protesting or fighting for.
Right.
They're just doing it because everybody else is doing it. And I think people want to see this world crumble and get worse. I think deep down, that's what everybody wants. I mean, it's just like when you kind of go back to that video of that guy committing suicide, like you don't want to watch it, but you want to watch it.
You want to see
train wreck that you can't look away from.
Exactly.
You want to see the world be doomed.
You do, because you think that I think most people think that this world is going to crumble, which means there'll be no laws. It'll be a free-for-all. They can do what they want. And it's just like, I don't think that's where the world's going to be going.
I guarantee all those little rich white girls who are complaining right now about defunding everything, wait until the first snow and no one scoops their walk and watch what happens.
Hey, I say if people agree with defunding the police and don't want the police help, then I think there should be a something so when they call 911, it pops up this person doesn't believe that the police should be
you have to
funded.
register as a defunder.
Yeah, so good luck. But if you break the law, you're still going to get arrested. But if you need help, we're not helping you.
Yeah.
All right, so who's your choice?
Yeah,
So,
we're getting off topic.
I've kind of expressed my ideas of Lonnie's topic. I also kind of entertain your ideas as well, your nihilistic approach, no lives matter type of thing.
I didn't say no lives matter.
No, it was between the lines there. Yeah, I got what you mean. He's like, were you even listening? But yeah, bringing up those public figures, those the greats of the times. Yeah, they would get misheard, misread, just slammed down, silence canceled. And it's the people who are trying to do the most for this world who, people are just going back and looking at their backlog that has no meaning, relevance to anything. So a hard reset, hold down for 5 seconds and sounds like a good idea.
Sounds like a great idea for a movie.
Right?
Yeah,
I think reminds me of The Road.
So, reset button or his grandfather?
His grandfather would get canceled because of being straight white male type of thing. So he wouldn't really have a voice, especially in the collective Marxist, like our loudest voice these days. Reset it. Push the button.
All right. No disrespect to your grandpa.
No, that's
sure.
okay.
He was a fantastic gentleman.
You
You
guys,
amazed me.
you boys shake hands.
That was what's that?
It's a
so weird.
2020 handshake.
Side. Don't move right now, Michael. The way he has his hands, it looks like he has a handlebar mustache. He looks like Hulk Hogan. All right. So, what are your guys' topic?
Do you want to fill him in on what our topic is?
Well, so what our topic is pretty much if you can go back in time and do anything, what would you do? But you only have like one time to come back. So go back, do something, and come back.
And it will not affect the space-time continuum. You will not affect anything now.
All right. All right. This will be interesting. Who's first?
Go ahead, big boy.
So I feel like mine.
And before we start, the 4-minute speech time was put into place because of you.
What'd I do?
I get it.
Was that? You don't want to do 20 minutes? I just got one page.
I'm telling you
One
right,
page of -0.
I'm telling you right now, if the word archetypes comes up in this, you're automatically disqualified.
Yeah, no, I kind of feel like mine might. We'll see. So, if I can go back in time to do one thing, I think I would go back to the time of Genghis Khan and inject him with a DNA bonding solution of my own DNA. Doing that, it will kind of cause a mutation since DNA is a dynamic and adaptable molecule. Currently, there are roughly 16 million descendants from Genghis Khan. That's pretty much 5% of the male population in this world. Put that otherwise, it's 1 in 200 males are related to Genghis Khan. Sir Genghis Khan. Yeah, he was kind of a big deal of his time. So if I go back and then come back, I can, with the technological advancements that's going on these days, we're very close to certain things that might help out my what do you call it? Objective. So if I come back, I can pretty much plug into the animus, where I can experience the genetic memories of people who share my DNA. Nice. So I'll be related to all these people. Yeah. So the reason why I would do something like that is, well, as much of a reader I am, and I'm always wanting to learn more things, opening a book can sometimes be a little daunting. And so if I have an overwhelmingly wide number of subjects, these people that I might be related to, I can just tap into their knowledge, all Matrix-like. Or I can just go on a vacation and assume the experience of being a handful of dukes or princes or counts or what have yous. And I love Asian food, so if I'm ever in a craving for some Asian food, I can just plug in and experience somebody else's memories of, like munching down on some Mongolian beef, Heck yeah. Yeah. I can do that several times. Get the taste of different eras. That's what's up. But if the Animus technology that is run by the corporation Abstergo Industries is 100% impossible, I might just go back to the early 90s to experience and be part of the mud people at the Woodstock 94. Taking the high of the grunge era. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That it? Yeah.
Wow. Two totally different things.
I know. Okay. All right, let's go right into
All right,
yours.
straight into mine. Okay. I better clear this and start it. If I could go back in time, I would want to go back to 1984 and see a double feature at the drive-in of Nightmare on Elm Street and The Lost Boys. Two of my favorite movies. I would want to see them live the year they came out. I've seen them in theaters before, but just to see them in their natural environment, live at release, just to see people experience them with me. Some of my favorite movies I haven't got to see on the big screen. And I got to see some of them from working at a movie theater, just taking them in, hooking the Blu-ray player up to a theater and see them on the screen. But it's not the same without that crowd and seeing classic horror when it first comes out, seeing before we were alive, seeing the naivety of people. I would love to see that. I would love to go back and see classic horror movies, like how people said they were puking and passing out at The Exorcist. I would like to see what that is like. Just going back and experiencing stuff we love, but like the first time. That's what I would do.
Okay. Two very interesting things. Justin, yours is very creative. I don't know which one you like. Which one are you leaning towards more? The Woodstock?
That was an awesome time. Remember when Trent Reznor got in on the Mud People, and then he went up and performed all decked out in mud?
It would be a very interesting. So, you're choosing the Woodstock over everything?
I was go with the Genghis Khan relative descendant.
Because you could have went to Mudstock and been a mud person. You would have been like, what, 6, but...
8-ish. Or 94. Yeah. About 9. A baby. Sorry. Were you there? Were you there?
Still could have happened.
Lonnie, yours definitely is something I've thought about, actually, and I've actually even said this a lot. In a way, I've kind of always said that I wish I was like in my 20s back in like the 80s.
Right.
I just think that everything back then was so cool. Especially, I think that's the best. 80s was the best time with horror.
I see what's going on. So Lonnie,
he played to the judge.
I did not play to the judge. We have the same.
He went back.
We have the same personality.
And he put his DNA into one of your relatives, and then he genetically experienced your memories.
Oh, I put my DNA into them all the time.
So I just think, and that is something like one thing I enjoy about 80s horror movies especially is thinking back of when they came out in theaters and what it would have been like to be an adult and to go there and experience those movies. You mentioned Exorcist, but I always thought Last House on the Left, even though that was like the 70s or whatever before my time, but like keep repeating, it's only a movie, it's only a movie, it's only a movie.
But like being in that grindhouse environment,
yeah,
like 4 other dudes who want to see someone see a rape and revenge movie.
Mm-hmm. So,
Eddie
Davis. I'm going to ask Michael, which one kind of spoke to you more, or were you awake? Even though you can't really hear him. Well, Lonnie. I think and Justin knows this is coming. I think I'm going to go with Lonnie just because I could relate with that one. Right. I could really relate to it. I'm not taking anything away from your creativity with it. Very creative, but
you can experience the memories of people today and learn how they a skill. Like how do they put this together in a cinema? Because there's probably people who are relatives of Genghis Khan who are like in the cinema and all that. That's where I was going with that. But
isn't like 1 in every 5 people related to Genghis Khan or something like that?
1 in 200.
Okay.
Especially in that region.
That got around.
A little bit.
I'm like I said, I'm going to go with Lonnie. I'm not taking anything away from Justin's. They were both very creative, but
I'm going to take something away from
I think I can
his
definitely
win.
These don't count as game points, do they?
I was going to do them, but then I thought, no.
I would say because 3-2-1. But no, 2-1-1. You're
cool.
Still in last place, but
then we'll
tied for second.
So that
still
was
figuring out. We need some. Any listeners have any idea for a punishment, if you will, for this winter at the end of the year?
So Stacy, if you can think of it.
Keep in mind, your brother doesn't do well with punishments. So that was a fun topic.
Yeah,
I like that.
I thought that was fun.
So, not taking the reins away from you here, but before we get into our main topic, I thought of something that we could do every episode for a little while here, where each of us takes a turn every episode, or like tonight will be my turn, next week will be one of you guys, but it's an influential speech or quote or something like that. That means a lot to you, that's helped you along or paved the way for you or inspired you in some way. Like I said, this week is mine. And mine, we have an audio clip. It's a couple minutes long. And this is from Quentin Tarantino, who is one of my favorite directors. He's speaking to some students at a university, and we'll play the clip, and then I will talk a little bit after that about why it's so inspirational to me.
Is this real, or am I just being a dreamer? that sword of Damocles that had hung over my head from the moment that I started to try to really seriously consider being a filmmaker, how daunting it was. And because I didn't go to film school or anything, and the fact that I didn't know how to do those different things always put me in the debate amongst myself, dreamer or artist. That was always ammunition for the dreamer side of the debate. And in one answer like that, that sort of Damocles went away. It's not your job to create your vision. It's your job to have a vision. And then it's your job to hire talented individuals, to hire talented artists who understand your vision, and you articulate it to them, and then they take your vision and they create it. Because I did have a vision, I did know what I want, and I could describe it. That I could do. I can describe it. I can talk about it. That is what I know I can do. And pretty much since then, that's what I did. What you need to know is you need to have a vision, and you need to know how to express it.
So yeah, that even sitting here, I have my jacket on, but getting goosebumps listening to that. Obviously, I'm not anywhere near where Quentin Tarantino's at in the realm of being a writer, director in film. I'd love to be there, but being able to relate to him too about, he didn't go to film school, and look at where he's at.
Right.
I didn't go to film school. All my film school is off of the bonus featurettes, behind the scenes making of featurettes on DVDs. That's how I taught myself things, and I have a lot to learn. But that's always something like, that I've always felt was I didn't feel like I should be making films because, I felt like I needed to know how to do everything. Like I needed to know how to run audio. I needed to know how to run the camera, do just all the different departments and stuff like that. And to hear him say that, your job isn't to create, it's to have the idea or whatever. And I have ideas and I can articulate my visions to people and find other people. And that's kind of that quote from him right there, that whole speech, is kind of the idea behind Shorty Films.
Right.
To bring talented people together to create short films. And, because there's a lot of talented people just in this One More Body movie. We're working with a lot of new people. I'd say it's 90% new people that I've never worked with, and I'm excited because they're very talented people. So I think that for anybody that's like wanting to be a filmmaker, that quote right there from him is very inspirational.
I think in context, yeah. When I first heard the quote on the surface, I was kind of in a disagreement as far as like the whole creative part, but the way he explains it for his position, for your position, it makes total sense. Going to school, so many people say you can't do something unless you have a piece of paper that shows something, and it's like you don't really. It should be the
expensive
experience.
piece of paper.
Yeah, it's like you can do the same thing. I know people who have, like when I was doing personal training, I know people who had a few years of education under their belt, little continued education courses and stuff, and I'm like, well, you're just printing something off the internet and you're giving all of your clients the same things. You're not tailoring it to each individual person. So for that sort of thing, it's like it's proof that I can do probably a lot more people in my position, who actually cares about an individual or the art of said, fill in the blank. Yeah, it's the experience, it's the love, the passion. Going to school showing you this is how you do this is how you do that. I feel like it just squeezes on your or puts a little shadow over your own creativity. It's like you're not taking any risks with that.
They're not.
You're just being safe.
They're telling you the same thing they told the people before you and the people before them and the people before them. That's why everything looks the same. You watch a Quentin Tarantino movie,
it's Quentin Tarantino.
You do within the first 10 seconds of it, it's one of his films because it has a unique style, because he didn't get his head flooded with all the same stuff that they're telling everybody else. And, you know, and not that there's anything wrong with going to school or college like that. I'm not discouraging people to do that, but, you know, I didn't go to film school because at the time when I graduated high school, I really didn't know that film was like a huge passion. I knew entertaining people was, but I have a couple friends that did go to film school, and, you know, to my recollection, they haven't made a feature-length movie. I've made 2. I mean, it's taken me 10 years to make 2 feature-length films, and I'm not saying I'm better than them, but it's just like, you know, you spend all that money to go to school.
Well, you're out doing it.
You're not doing it, and it's just like, just do it. And, you know, this is a topic for another time. I could go on and on, but I mean, yeah, I think that quote is one that I've listened to countless times. And if you actually watch his whole speech to these students, it's fantastic.
He's got a lot of passion.
He does, and you can tell. He articulates it and with his hand gestures and stuff. So that was mine. I think I'm going to choose Lonnie for our next episode.
All right.
You get to find your inspirational quote.
Good. Sounds good. 2 weeks. Well, speaking of inspiration drawn from film and cinema, our main topic tonight, we each dug into our bank of memories and movies and TV. We wanted to kind of discuss some deaths in TV and movies and just cinema in general that we kind of took as inspiration or our favorites, stuff that we thought impacted us in cinema, and kind of discuss them with you guys, go a little bit more in depth with them, and just kind of talk about cinema, stuff we love, but that had an impact on us. So we each reached into our memory banks and grabbed some cinema death that we thought was worth talking about. And so our main topic tonight is death and despair.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, goes perfectly with Goth.
Paco.
Death and despair. So we each got 5. Let's just go round robin with this. Justin over there, why don't you go ahead and start us off one?
See, it was kind of hard to pick because I had so many different directions. Yeah, I mean,
it's so hard to pick just 5.
Yeah, there's so many people who die in movies and stuff. And I was like, does something that impacts me, is it me personally, or is it something that was culturally influenced, or...
Zombie 137 in Night of the Living Dead. He touched my heart.
Didn't even have a chance.
I was surprised with your list, Justin. A lot of the ones I could relate with. I was expecting your list to be a lot of movies and characters I've never seen or heard of.
I was trying to go that way, but yeah. I'm going to go with one of the first ones that had a big impact on me growing up. Artax. Artax was a sad death in the Swamp of Sadness, Swamp of Sadness, sorrow.
Never-ending story.
It's like watching it go down. The horse, this stallion, this butte, just sinking, and you see the struggle in the horse's eyes, and just the aftermath. And it doesn't actually show it, but it's like it implies, it just like fade to black, fade back, and it's just, wow, what's his name? Atreyu, thank you. Just Atreyu, just saddened. His Artax is gone.
Well, it's like a supporting character. You almost like get the emotion that it's a supporting character. Like, if Beavis died and Butthead was his main character, and they die, it's like it's an off-screen death, but yet it's not. So,
it's like it's one of those deaths too that you don't expect to happen.
Right?
It's like, oh, he's safe. He's the animal. It's the animal that died. It's like,
right.
Wow.
And you care so much about animals than people is the thing.
You kind of do.
Right. Like, and that's the thing watching horror. It's like when the animal dies, like animals and babies, like they say never work with animals or babies. And
that's not entirely always true.
We're not talking about porn.
Oh, no, The fucking cat. the dude. They shot the cat. It was alright. It was good.
But it's like when a child or an animal dies in a movie, it like actually it's more of an impact than when a person dies. Like you're so used to seeing people die. So when it's like an animal or a child dies, it's like more of a surprise than when a person dies. Like A Quiet Place. When the first death in the movie is a young child, like it's kind of takes you aback and like, what am I watching?
Was that your pick?
No.
It kind of goes into one of that's on my list.
Is it Harry?
About like a kid being killed.
Harry Potter?
No.
Oh. Hereditary?
Is it my turn to go?
Don't you dare!
I'm done.
Don't you dare bring up that movie at this table again.
It's an awesome.
No, it was not. You shut your mouth.
Awesome half of the movie.
Shut your whore mouth.
There's another half of it.
So, okay, if I'm gonna go, that's a segue into mine. I didn't quite understand too if we were going for personal deaths.
Oh, personal,
or
personal
just
impact.
All in all. So pretty much the majority of mine are things that like affected me personally, like deaths in movies. This one was actually on my honorable mention, but right before we started this segment, I decided I am going to move it up to my top 5. I'm taking Jack Dawson from Titanic. That is off my list. That was going to be mine, but his heart will go on, so I don't need to mention it. So I went with it's from the movie Alpha Dogs. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's got Justin Timberlake in it. But it's the character Zach Mazursky, who is played by the actor Anton Yelchin. You remember him? He was in the Star Trek movies. He actually died a few years ago. A freak accident. His car rolled and smashed him when he was going to get the mailbox. It like pinned him up against a brick wall. But basically, in Alpha Dogs, it's about drug people that, you know, this guy owes me money type thing. And it's directed by, I forget his name. He played in the movie Face Off the guy that goes, "You want me to take his face off?" The bald guy that was in that movie. Anyways, so they basically, these people kidnap the one guy that owes them money, his brother. You know, the whole time they have him and stuff like that, they kind of keep him, they're not mean to him. They're actually giving him a life that he doesn't have. Like, they're introducing him to girls and fun and stuff like that. And Justin Timberlake kind of is his watcher. The kid watches over him, and he kind of, in a sense, falls for the kid, I guess you would say. Like, he enjoys being around him and stuff. Well, at the very end, you know, they're basically like, you know, we have to kill him. We have witnesses, so we just need to kill him and be done with it. And when I'm watching that movie, I knew nothing about that movie. And at the very end, spoiler alert here, you know, they dig a hole for the kid in the middle of the night in the desert, and they tape his hands, put his tape over his mouth. And in my head, I'm like, there's no way they're going to kill this kid. There's no way they're going to kill him. And then they just take like a semi-automatic gun and just like blast the kid, and he falls into the grave they dug, and blood just pours out of him and stuff. And I'm like, man, like, I was traumatized by that. Like, they did such a good job filming it, making you feel for the character and stuff like that. And whew, that one really would probably be top of my list as like a death that really messed with me and affected me.
Right, had
Wait, wasn't that
impact in your life?
That was assassination style, like to the back, wasn't it?
Mm-mm.
Or was he looking in bacon?
It was basically right in front of his face, because, you know, Justin Timberlake, he does such a great job as an actor. I think he's very underrated as an actor. But like, you know, he's the one that has to put the tape on his kid. He's like, no, I'm going to put some tape around your arm. And the kid knows they're going to kill him, but I think deep down the kid knows, like, thinks that they're going to let him go or something like that. But they put tape around his wrist, and then, you know, Justin Timberlake's, now I'm going to put some tape over your mouth. And the kid's like, okay. And he puts tape over his mouth, and then what the guy does, the guy comes from the other guy, that's the dick, comes from behind with a shovel and hits the kid in the back of the head, makes him fall in the hole, and then he stands over the hole and shoots him. And it's just, that kid affected so many people in the movie too. Like all the people that he was introduced to, they just fell for this kid. They just liked his personality and everything. So if you haven't seen that movie, it's definitely one you want to. It's an all-star cast. Like Bruce Willis is in it. It's been a while since I've seen it, but very good movie. Definitely check it out. Sorry that I ruined the ending for you, but
when it comes to like spoilers and stuff like that, it makes me want to see it more. And I've already seen this, and I've probably seen it when it came out. And I think around that time I was not on the Timberlake bandwagon. I was like, fucking Snake.
How could you not
whatever.
be on the...
dude, he's so good. Musical,
He's so great.
dancing.
It's probably because
acting.
he was like the next, up and coming like Michael Jackson triple threat type of thing.
It's because he dated Britney Spears, and you had a thing for her.
Not so much.
Yeah,
so
I was like that Power 3. I didn't like any of them. Like the Britney, Christina and Jessica.
Or I said Justin. Well, with his blonde curly hair at the beginning, he had
his ramen noodle hair.
Ramen noodle hair, yeah. Well, for me, my number one is Tina Gray's death in Nightmare on Elm Street. Was my first horror movie I remember seeing, and it was the first death in it. And from that, it's my favorite horror movie. And the death itself was geniusly shot. It's the 360 or the 180 room that they did. So not only was it an awesome death that stayed in my mind as a child, and it's the first death in my favorite horror movie. So that puts it echelons above most death. Now that I'm older and getting into the film industry myself, just knowing how it was shot is just boggles my mind with how they rotated the room 180 degrees is just fantastic to me. But like the portrayal of that death with the cutting of her chest was all practical effects, and her being drug up the wall was all practical effects, and it was so beautifully shot. And for it being, 36 years old, I loved it so much with the eerie dream sequence beforehand, putting you in a world that you didn't know what to expect, and then flashing to the real world. It was amazing. I loved it.
For a loop, literally.
Yeah.
Did you have you ever seen the Never Sleep Again documentary?
Absolutely.
That when they talk about that filming that weren't like crew members and stuff getting sick,
right? Yeah,
like the blood was dumping. Like they didn't realize, like, okay, once they rotate it and all that blood comes out, it's just going to start
going up your nose,
spraying it. Well, it like came out and it was like on their equipment and stuff like that. But
and it was the same way with Johnny Depp's character Glenn's death as well, and how much blood they used for that scene.
And that's back when they knew how to make things practical.
Exactly.
And, I mean, it might have looked cheesy, but I would rather it look cheesy and be real than CGI.
Exactly.
I mean, if they shot that nowadays, it would have all been CGI.
Well, I mean, in the 2010 aborted mess that was Nightmare on Elm Street remake, never mind. I don't even want to talk about that shit show. I seen it twice. I seen the midnight showing and thought, I'm just half asleep. It couldn't have possibly been that bad. And then I seen it the noon showing after I slept, and it was that bad. What you got for number two?
Number two, see, I think a lot of my picks kind of have a similar theme. I think I went more with sad themes here, but
death aren't supposed to be happy.
Exactly.
Some deaths are happy.
I mean, Hitler's death, that was up there on my list.
He was misunderstood.
Fuck you.
If we had sponsors, our plug would be pulled right now.
All right. So I wanted to do, and then this is probably an honorable mention here. I wanted to do Thomas Sinnott.
Oh, you're not doing that one?
I am not.
Son of a bee.
For you guys who don't, Oh, jeez. Thomas Sinnott, the dude who got stung by a crap load of bees in My Girl.
That was the best joke I've had so far.
No.
It only took 8 episodes.
I'm going to go with my favorite movie of all time, The Crow, Eric Draven's death. They also used a lot of practical stuff, and they kind of mixed it also with CGI. So Eric Draven...
I don't know if you should be congratulating them on their practical effects.
Not for this shot.
This is great.
So, as most of you who probably do know that Brandon Lee, the actor, got shot on set of filming The Crow. The character Michael Massey, who played Fun Boy, he shot him, and they actually changed it in the script. So 1010 throws a knife at him, and he drops, and then they end up raping his fiance and throwing him out the window.
Great change. Love the rewrites.
I feel like, I'm pretty sure the rape and toss was still added in there, but yeah.
What can we do to fuck up this guy's career more?
So he pretty much witnesses, the character Eric Draven witnesses all of this happening, and he's pretty much helpless, and they end up tossing him out the window, and just the look of sadness of him looking back up to the loft of where he was about to start his future. It was the night before his wedding, and he just plummets to the ground. Does it count as a death if he comes back?
I mean,
you kind of answered your own question there.
Okay, yeah. So he dies and comes back. So is he like a zombie rock star killer?
He's an anti-hero. It's so gray in comic book movies. For those who don't know, The Crow, it started as a comic book.
A goth
comic, yeah.
Ooh, I see what you did there. It came full circle.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, so.
That'll be my number 2 pick there.
Good.
So for my number 2 pick, this is actually one of the first deaths I really remember.
JFK.
But this goes back to
the
classic movie Ghost and the character Sam Wheat, played by Patrick Swayze. That really, as a kid, my family, we watched a lot of the same movies over and over and over and over again. We would go to the rental shop. We had 2 VCRs hooked up to one another.
And you would steal them.
We would.
You son of a bitch.
But this is back before they started putting like this piece of tape over part of it so you couldn't tape it. But we watched Ghost a lot. And every time like he would get shot, it's early on in the movie because he plays a ghost for the majority of it.
With Whoopi Goldberg.
But it's not really it's a mixture of sadness and comedy, this movie, and I think it's a great movie.
It's got some creepiness to it towards the end.
It does, yeah. The CGI ghost and the hell, the black demons that come up or whatever, hokey looking. But no, I just remember watching that movie over and over and over and over again, and I was naive to think every time I watched it that it was going to be different. Like, when they came out of the movie theater or whatever it was, and then that Carl guy that was paid to kill him or whatever, I always thought they're just going to take a different route. They're going to run. It's not going to happen this time. He's not going to get shot and killed. But, I just remember the first time watching it when the gun goes off, and then you see Patrick Swayze running after the guy. I'm like, oh, my God, they killed Demi Moore. But then it goes back, and, then he looks, and he's looking at his dead body as she's like holding him with the gunshot and stuff like that and all the blood. And that kind of traumatized me. So that one really kind of affected me. I mean, that's not really a spoiler because the movie's called Ghost, so you kind of figured that one was coming. So that one is my number 2 pick. Lonnie, I don't peg you as somebody that really watched the movie more than once.
There was a meme I seen the other day about Ghost that just cracked me up. There's so many memes about that movie, but it was obviously during the infamous pot scene. But instead of a pot, they had a cat, and they were both petting the cat. Cracked me up. My number 2 is a little unique, but with some explanation, you'll probably get it. My number 2 is Ray Brower from Stand By Me. Do you guys know who Ray Brower was in Stand By Me?
I've seen that movie once.
You've said that a lot tonight.
Because I don't watch movies that don't really speak to me.
That movie is
more
so.
than once.
You, Ray Brower, nothing?
Rob Zombie directed it.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
No, but it's a Stephen King story.
Okay. I mean, Stephen King's not my favorite, so okay.
Anyway, so Ray Brower's the dead kid. He's the body they're looking for. So he's already dead before the movie starts. And like as a story, being to base your whole entire story after someone who is already dead, not knowing anything about him, not knowing his backstory, not knowing how he died, nothing like that.
Just a milk carton.
Yeah, it's just he's basically just a prop. But Stephen King wrote it so magnificently. It's just, he needs to write more like that. Like his 3 best movies were Stand By Me, The Green Mile, and Shawshank Redemption.
Well, I'll pass that note on to him.
Yeah, just do.
Might change.
Well, and of
he might go
course.
places now.
Yeah, right. But no, it's the movie, and it had a lot to do with the actors in it, like Corey Feldman before he lost his mind.
His music is
River
awesome.
Phoenix. It is fantastic. River Phoenix. The kid who was fat got skinny. I don't know his name.
Jonah Hill.
No, the Jonah Hill before Jonah Hill. But anyway, it's just and Kiefer Sutherland. It's just the ability to take a death and make it a plot point without it being have to be mentioned all the time. Just like there's a beginning and there's an end, and there's so much in between that doesn't take away from the fact that you're going to a destination, and that destination is grim. It's not like in a lot of horror movies, the destination is usually like, yay, we made it, we stayed alive. Well, the destination in Stand By Me is you're going to find a dead kid, and it's grim. I don't think enough movies make the destination grim. And like, so all the fun they're having, like, it's a coming of age story. Like they're swimming in the creek, they're telling ghost stories, and it's a coming of age story leading to grim. And that's why I always loved Ray Brower. I think it's one of the best deaths in cinema.
It is funny you mentioned that movie because that is a movie on my list that I've told myself, like, now that I'm older and an adult, I should rewatch it.
It's a fantastic movie, and when you watch it as a kid, you don't appreciate some of the scenes in it because you don't really see a coming of age story as a kid and really understand what it is.
Yeah. But yeah, no, and I kind of have realized that too. I've watched a lot of movies that I only watched once when I was younger and didn't really care for, and you have an appreciation for it as you're an adult.
Right.
So
Will Wheaton, he's one of the kids as well. He's the main kid.
All right.
Number 3.
Number 3. So Lonnie just kind of hit on my third one. He said The Green Mile. I'm going to go with John Coffey.
Good.
John Coffey.
Roll on too.
I think all of us had that on our
yeah,
list.
I think we discussed that when we were talking about our lists.
So this was extremely influential,
Dun, 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 dun.
especially since he was pretty much the biggest yet softest character of the entire 2-hour movie or so.
So am
2.5.
Am I the John Coffey of this group? I'm big and soft.
Yeah, I can see that. Kind of look like it.
Have you seen Michael? Just kidding. I had to do it. You're here. We got to throw you under the bus.
But like phenomenal acting, Michael Clark Duncan. He, I mean, just almost every single scene, he had that welling of tears in his eyes, like just ready to drop. Like he knows the outcome, yet he still applies that kindness. You know,
Right.
like he still wants to be a light in the world of darkness. He still wants to take away people's pain, and going out the way that he did, you know, dry sponged.
That scene was rough to watch.
Not just, I think what adds to it too is the audience of the execution, you know, and then just the relationship him and Tom Hanks' character had, like they knew something was up, and it's like they wanted to at least send him off peacefully, well, as peacefully as you can in an electrocution.
It wasn't a dry sponge. It was he didn't want to be blindfolded. The dry sponge was the guy with the rat.
Right.
He said dry sponge.
Well, yeah. He didn't wet it. That's why it went all haywire.
For John Coffey, They wet the sponge for
Yeah.
John.
It was.
Oh shit! It was the other dude. Yeah.
I
That was a fucked up one too. Yeah.
He just didn't.
He didn't want to go in the darkness.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, look at me. I'm all.
No, I understand what you're saying.
How dare you not remember a movie from the early 90s?
It was very.
When you were
I
a
just
child.
didn't want all of our critics out
Influential.
there to
They get points
brag
too.
on us.
If they get a lot of correction points, they get the punishment or something, right? But no, yeah, it was it was an awesome performance. Another Stephen King.
It's funny because it's just like that movie's like so unrealistic, like with his powers that he has.
Right.
But it was believable when you were watching it. Like you actually believed everything about it. Like, oh, this could happen type of thing. And I mean, yeah, they really make you that whole movie. They just that song that plays like at the beginning when he starts crying, and it's just like you don't understand at the beginning why he's crying, and then like later on you realize, oh, that's because that's the last movie that John Coffey watched before he died, and he was just so happy watching it. That is a good one.
Yeah.
I think that's a fantastic.
And the thing about that movie too, and it was like, so we're a little bit older. We're not part of your kids' fancy generation, but that was a two tape VHS tape.
Oh yeah.
And that's how you knew
Yeah.
like it was going to be a good movie. Like a lot of the great movies were a two taper, and like you're like, oh,
A lot of the Stephen Kings were the two tapers.
so there were some bad ones, but yeah, if it was a two tape VHS, you're like, oh man, we got extra. We're in for the good shit. Like, do we start with two? Like,
What?
because then you get the payoff.
It's not a payoff when he dies.
If it's set to the Neutron Dance by the Pointer Sisters, it is. All right. So my number 3, actually, this one was kind of one that Michael helped me with.
Look at you.
We're gonna go with wow, his name is slipping my mind. The director, M. Night Shyamalan. Malcolm Crowe in The Sixth Sense, Bruce Willis's character.
Did you know that guy with the hairpiece in that movie? That was Bruce Willis the whole time.
Oh, snap. Whoa, you learned something new.
All right. But I mean, that movie, like the death was probably one of the most shocking deaths in movie history because he was dead the whole time and you didn't realize it.
Yes, you did.
No, you didn't.
You got closer. You got closer and closer, and I think one of the best.
I think like 30 minutes in, if you didn't know Bruce Willis was dead, like you weren't perceptive at all. Obviously, you guys aren't fucking perceptive at all in movies.
Shut up.
Okay. Well, I think that is today still one of the most talked about deaths in a movie because even movies bring it up in movies.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's an ongoing joke. Like, I mean,
Scary movie.
Ocean's 12. You know, Bruce Willis plays Bruce Willis in Ocean's 12, and Matt Damon's character is like talking to him. He's just like, I figured it out. The minute she didn't talk to you in the restaurant, I knew you were dead. And Bruce Willis like, oh, that's great. Most people didn't realize that and stuff. But I think that's definitely one that was very shocking. I think a lot of jokes are made from it. I can't think of the comedian, but he's on Netflix.
Was it the I See Black People one? That was a
No.
Wasn't that a who was that? Keep going.
He basically he talks about like how people believed more so. It was more believable that Bruce Willis and his wife were having marital problems than that he died. He's like, this is how obvious it was. The opening scene was a guy shooting Bruce Willis, but we went on for another 2 hours thinking that this guy and his wife were having marital problems, and she wasn't talking to him. So that definitely, to me, that death was kind of like one of the first ones that really like opened up twist at the ends of movies and stuff like that. And so I think that was a good pick by Michael.
One of the best things about that movie alone is it's right on the cusp of, white internet spoiler type of stuff.
Yeah.
So nobody knew. You had to go pay your stub and get in there and watch it.
And I think those that did have it spoiled, I think that kind of pushed them to go see the movie. because they wanted to see how it was done and whatnot. But I was one of those people that didn't. I wasn't told about it, and I saw it pretty late after it was released. And I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't see it coming. To be honest with you,
Yeah,
I mean, watching it nowadays, I probably would. But God, when did that movie come out?
96, 97?
96. So I was like 12 when that movie came out, 12, 13 years old. So I didn't,
That put M. Night Shyamalan and Ding Dong on the map.
Shyamalan.
99?
Shyamalan.
So I was...
Before he started doing everything so, like, come on,
Yeah. I was like 16 when it came out. So.
My favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie to this day is Elevator. Was it Devil?
Devil and Elevator.
Is it Devil?
Just Devil.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Devil's great.
I need to rewatch that.
Devil's fantastic.
With
the biblical implications of it.
I thought you were going to say The Happening. I was about to stab you in
the
throat with my pen.
I went to go see that in theaters, and I broke out laughing because
you say the same part that I'm thinking of.
Is it where Mark Wahlberg was on the hill and he's like, "Come on, come on," and I'm like, "Mark, come on."
I was gonna say I did laugh at the part where he's talking to the fake plant or whatever, and I don't know. He's like talking like in a high pitched voice or whatever to it, but
he just went good vibrations at the top of the hill, like. Yeah.
Somebody who was it pointed out that he's like always out of breath when he delivers. His...
Hey, what's going on, guys?
When me and Tracy first started dating, I went over to her house and we were looking through DVDs to watch. I'm like, "Oh, The Village, that was kind of shitty." And she's like, "Oh, it was so scary. I had to turn it off when the monster was chasing them in the woods. I couldn't. It's just too scary for me." And I was like, "The fuck, what?" She's like, "Yeah, the monster was chasing them through the woods when they were trying to find their way out, and it was just too scary. I had to turn it off." I'm like, "Put it in. We're finishing it." She's like, no. I'm like, "Put the fucking movie in. We're finishing it." And then, obviously, it's when spoiler alert, the blind girl, Bryce Dallas Howard, another one on my list of 5, climbs over the wall, and it ends how it ends.
Do we have 2 of the 5 or 3 of the 5 on your list just in this episode?
Just 2.
Oh.
You got Christina Ricci.
Yep. Bryce Dallas Howard.
Wait, no, your page.
Your page.
She's not on my list.
No, she is now.
I'm not weird enough for her.
I got, what's his name? Or her name.
That could be an episode where we reveal our list.
What if yours is all cartoons? Am I
we'll have
fucked up?
You wouldn't be a host
Daffy
on this podcast.
Duck in a dress.
So what's your number 3, Lonnie?
My number 3, I'm not going to talk about it much because it's from a series we really desperately want you to watch. But my number 3 is Nellie Crane from the television series Haunting of Hill House.
Oh my god!
And I can say she dies because it's basically what the series is based around. But when the series is basically the first 5 or 6 episodes is each episode is a character, basically a character's origin story. And when they get to Nellie's origin story, fuck does the series do a 180 on you. And it's a 10-episode series, and her origin story is episode 5.
The storytelling is like putting a perfect puzzle piece in it. And
my
it's
God.
Like, what?
And that series has literally, and I'm not bullshitting you, that series has the best jump scare I have ever seen in my life. No bullshit. I even jumped the second time I watched it. Like, it's so good, and it's so out of place where you don't expect it to be. It's just absolutely perfect. The series is on Netflix. It's a 10-episode series. They're 45 minutes an episode, I think. The acting is superb.
For sure.
Even the child actors in it are so amazing. The writing is superb.
Yeah, you did mention that one too. I think tonight I might actually start watching.
If I had to recommend a Netflix series, that's probably up in my top 3.
My number 1, hands down. I've watched it 3 times at this point. I watched it all the way through once by myself. Me and Tracy watched it once, and then my sister watched an episode of it, and then she came over and we watched the other 9 episodes with her.
And who in that series is on your list? Your top 5?
There's a guy who looks like Bradley Cooper.
What the?
But no, I want to sit here and dedicate. Like, when you watch it all the way through, I think we need to have an episode that's just us talking about the series. Because we could fill 3 hours talking about it.
I'm going to start watching it tonight.
This series fucked me up. Like, yeah.
Like, when you get on in the episodes, probably episode 7 or 8, there's a ghost in every single scene, and it's like
well, in every single episode there's hidden ghosts, and if
yeah, and they don't point them out. You'll just see them and be like, the fuck, because the house is haunted, but they won't bring them up. Like how there'll be like a jump scare noise or something like that. This nothing. They'll just be like, what the fuck was that? Did I just see that? And they won't bring it up. It won't matter at all.
You'll see like something behind the stairs or eyes behind the doorway or.
Well, let's hurry up with this episode so I can get home and watch.
But that's my number 3.
Okay.
Back over here.
Number 4, Justin.
Pass it back.
Number 4.
Let's see. I got 2 left. Let's go with. This is something Jeremy's probably heard a lot this last week. Powder.
Is it really?
It is.
Is it
yeah,
powder?
It is powder.
Is it powder?
Get out of here.
Or is it Mac and Me? Or is it powder?
It's a peanut butter fun time, or what was it?
The peanut butter solution.
Peanut butter fun time is something totally different.
I wouldn't recommend Googling peanut butter fun time.
And I wouldn't recommend asking people for help on trying to remember a movie because
it's obviously powder.
Yeah.
So Powder was an awesome movie. I think it was one of the coolest movies. You know, like it was just a very misunderstood dude who, I mean, he was struck by lightning in his mom's belly as when she was pregnant with him, and kind of granted him these
boobs,
psychokinetic, these. I don't know if you want to call them powers or abilities, but he's raised different, and he can pretty much consume information and memorize anything, and you know he's just a phenomenon. Yeah, and the way he dies is pretty much being it kind of borders on with like suicide. He wishes to just be free away from everything, you know, all the hatred, you know, like he pretty much left his mark. And then at the end he's running through the field, and it's the thunderstorm that he's just always been afraid of, because that's pretty much how he was born, in a storm, and he sends himself back. He just in a flash of lightning.
It's turned to powder.
Yeah. Not baby powder.
I thought you were going to say he died from going out in the sun.
No, he did
because he's so white.
Is that because he's Irish too?
I don't know. His hair could never grow.
I mean, Sean Patrick Flannery. Never mind.
What do you got for 4 over there? Germ.
All right, so this is a more recent one. It comes from Avengers Endgame. Tony Stark, Iron Man.
I haven't seen that yet.
That definitely sent shockwaves. I feel like I mean I'm not a huge comic book fan at all.
I know.
And I mean I like the Marvel movies. I prefer the Marvel movies over the DC movies. But I just remember just the outroar from people when he died. And I mean it was kind of shocking to me. The way he dies in that movie. I mean, he's kind of the one that basically sacrifices himself for the good of everybody else. Now, I don't read comic books. I don't know, like, the story. I don't know how these movies follow along with true to the comic books, if they do at all. I don't know.
So many different iterations, too, so.
If Tony Stark is one that dies in the comic books, or if this was just specifically for the movie. But
there's only, and this is pretty true with most comics. There's actually only, let's see, 1, 2, 3 people who have died and stayed dead in comic books, and that's Batman's parents and Uncle Ben. Those are the only 3 people who die and stayed dead.
The rice guy?
Yeah, right? Those are the only 3 people who died and stayed dead in comics.
Well, I mean, I think the way that they shot the death with, Spider-Man and stuff like that, like kind of, he took him under his arm or his arms and kind of taught him the ways, and when he died and he was there, kind of like holding him and stuff like that. I mean, it's just it was an interesting death. Probably one of the more recent deaths that kind of was like, oh, I didn't really see that coming, and like I thought to myself too, well, I'm not a comic book fan, but I know Tony Stark is pretty important to the Marvel movies, so for him to be dead is kind of interesting to me. So,
well, from an outside perspective, Robert Downey Jr., like his contract was up, so you knew Robert Downey Jr. was going to be gone.
See, I don't look at things like that. Like I don't. When I'm watching movies, I'm like, oh, I'm going to see if this person's contract.
You lose your. Well, it was so published. Robert Downey Jr. was gone. Chris Evans was gone. So you had to assume that something was going to happen to him.
But I also heard that he re-signed, and he's at least on for 4 more movies or something like that. Robert Downey Jr. Yeah. But it could be flashbacks,
right?
I'm assuming, but
yeah, just so they can have his likeness. But yeah, and you kind of had to assume something was going to happen to both of them. I didn't expect that at all. Like you said, that there was nothing. That was not how the comic storyline went at all. But Marvel is kind of, they had the rights to Marvel. Well, they basically, Disney owns Marvel at this point. So they can do whatever they want. So seeing them go that route, yeah, it was definitely emotional. Like, pretty much everybody around us was pretty much broke to tears. And, like, it was very emotional. It wasn't the saddest comic book death to me, but it was definitely in the top 3.
Yeah.
I thought the Logan death in Logan was a little bit more emotional.
Oh, yeah.
Or the Spider-Man death in the first Infinity Wars, not Endgame, but Infinity Wars. I took that one worse than the Tony Stark death.
That one was pretty good, but he really didn't die, so that's why it's kind of on my list.
That's one thing. Like, so many people got so hyped with the Infinity Wars, the first, and it's like you do. Well, it was people who followed the movie, not the comics.
Right.
So it's like you don't really know what's going.
No one's dead in comic books.
All right, your number 4.
This many's. Oh, me.
Yeah.
Take it away.
Everyone's looking at you. And your
big eyes over.
Well, my number 4 is Danny Vineyard from American History X, played by, what's his name?
The Hulk?
No. What was his name? From Terminator 2.
Yeah.
Edward Furlong. But, yeah, watching him through the majority of the movie and watching him progress from being, Nazi scum to redeeming himself to getting shot
in a bathroom
at this school, it was kind of heartbreaking, like watching him learn his lessons and going from an utter piece of trash, but yet trying to redeem himself, trying to be a better person from the struggles his brother had from being in jail and learning to repent and pulling his brother out of the life was great. It was heartfelt, and you wanted there to be that happy Hollywood ending, but you just knew it wasn't going to happen, and the way it ended for him was it was rough, and it was shot beautifully. The blood on the white background, the white tile, and
that slow fade.
Yeah, and Edward Norton's acting is just always on point. So I thought it was pretty great, pretty fantastic.
That one got me too. That one wasn't on my picks, but
It's one of those, a lot of people don't appreciate the movie because of the subject matter.
Right. See, I think people need to, like, there's so many things people don't like. It's like, well, you gotta have to find the source of why you don't like it. So maybe check it out. Like, there's certain views or talking points. It's like, that's gonna help you grow. That's pretty much what the character was doing the whole time. It's like, he was led down this path, and then he's, saw this, and like you were saying, that he had that redemption turning point, and then, just turning and seeing his smile, and then the smile fade to a shock, and bam.
Right. People are just afraid to be offended. Right. I think is where we're at.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You said it.
Yeah.
And I think a movie like that couldn't be made today either. It's
absolutely not.
Especially the curb stomping
scene.
It'd
be X-rated, yeah.
It was American History X.
Not that kind of X.
Well,
number 5, last one.
That's an onion.
I didn't know that was
food porn.
So I'm gonna go with a cartoon here. So I think a lot of people were
Watership Down.
Nope. I think a lot of people were expecting Mufasa's death, but that was a close 9th or 10th, whatever. I am going to go
close 9th, 10th out of 5.
Yeah, man. I once I started trying to figure out, like, well, how do I want it to do it, and my options started opening up. It's like, was it just a death that was really cool, a death that was impactful? But yeah, I'm gonna go with the Rose from A Little Prince. The Little Prince. That was an amazing movie altogether. It was a lot of views that I've kind of always hold. It's a very Buddhist perspective. So some of the philosophies, the letting go, there's like 2 different stories going on in one. The relationship between like the little girl and the old man. He's telling the story of the little prince and his rose, and this little prince lives on this little planet, and he pretty much travels to try to find himself and grow and expand. And then he comes back to visit the rose, and the rose is a little jealous, and at the end, the prince kind of forgets himself and then refines himself and remembers the rose due to the little girl, with the clashing of the stories. She's like, what about your rose? What about your rose? And the rose finally dies, and he feels crushed. And then as the sun comes over the planet again, there's all these little roses, and yeah, it was a beautiful scene. I cried like a baby.
I believe it. I've never seen that movie.
Check it out.
Is it on Netflix?
It is.
Okay.
Or was. It is.
You said it's a cartoon?
Yeah. It's like a Pixar-ish. It might be Pixar.
Is it newer?
Yeah, it's probably within like the last 5 years or so.
And I'm assuming the only reason you watched it is because of your daughters?
No, I actually really liked it.
Oh.
But yeah, no, I actually try to...
son of a bee.
You can't say that. Yeah, that's my 5. My fifth.
Okay.
My cinco. My cinque.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So my 5th one kind of goes back to what I think we were talking about at the beginning, or we talked about before. Mine is not a human that dies, rather a pet. And that's from the classic Tom Hanks movie Turner and Hooch, when Hooch dies at the end. That was really a sad one, and another first for me. That's like the first movie I remember where an animal really dies. Like, I don't include Bambi. I didn't include, things I watched as a kid, like the animated things, or like his mom dying.
The artist just stopped drawing the mom.
But no, I mean, for what Turner and Hooch is, being a comedy movie.
Yeah.
Again, seeing this for the first time when I was a little kid, back before internet and spoilers and stuff like that. Here, I think I'm watching this comedy movie about a guy and this dog that's destroying his house and stuff like that. That
real life hits you.
Then he starts to like enjoy the dog, and they become good friends and man's best friend. And then at the end, the dog jumps in front of Tom Hanks when Craig T. Nelson's trying to shoot him, and takes a bullet to save Tom Hanks and whatnot. And then, you know, that's like you said, when real life hits you, and he has to take the dog to the vet where they're doing an emergency, trying to save it. And then just the emotions on Tom Hanks, like crying. And I mean, Tom Hanks was amazing in that scene. And
it was all practical. They had to really do it.
Yeah. But it's just like, as a kid, I'm thinking, all right, there's no way this dog's going to die. They're not going to kill an animal in this. He's going to pull through. And then all of a sudden, she like looks at him and shakes her head like, no, he didn't make it. And then Tom Hanks breaks down. I'm like, wow, like that was rough. I remember we had a dog at the time, and I hugged the shit out of it when we were done. It's like, don't you take a bullet for me.
You prefer Turner Hooch over Turner and Hooch 2?
There's not a second one, is
It's
there?
called Marley and Me, but
Oh, yeah. But I did like, though, at the end how he had another dog that was like Hooch that had longer ears and stuff. So it was like, all right, you knocked me down, but you got me back up a little bit with it. So that was my number 5 pick. I think, like I said, that was the first animal death that really messed with me.
more than Artax?
Yes.
Fuck you.
No, secretly, no one really likes horses. They just show their economic status by having horses.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
How's that bottle of Elmer's glue that you're using?
Okay.
That's what horses become when they die.
Yeah, or Taco Bell meat, one of the two.
It's good and good for you.
It definitely is not.
If they keep it on the fucking menu for more than a week.
Their organs, you become part of their spirit.
All right, Lonnie, what's your...
And I changed my number 5, like, as we were discussing things.
Like it's diaper?
So it's not Donnie Darko?
It's not Donnie Darko anymore, no. My last one is Alice, Andrea King from Friday the 13th, Part 2.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because she was the first person that I realized no one is safe in horror. You figure the heroine from the first movie is somewhat safe, but she was completely murdered within 5 minutes of the second movie.
Yeah.
So, like, that's at that age and that scene, that's when you realize that absolutely no one is safe in that franchise or in horror movies. So that's a big impact on you too. It's like when you're first getting into the genre or getting into that franchise, it's like, wow, okay, now what can I expect? Like, everyone dies. Like, no one is safe now.
That one really touches a special place. Keep your sexual joke to yourself, Justin. That death is the very first death I remember ever watching in a horror movie, and that death is what got me into the horror genre.
Right.
The ice pick to the freaking side of the temple.
Yeah.
That stuck with me, and it's like it scarred me, but it definitely opened my world up.
Right.
And wow, that's a good one.
And you don't expect it.
No, not at all.
You expect, like, her to be, like, sure, she's expected to die, but not so quick. And then, like, with Scream, when Wes Craven made Scream, having someone so popular as Drew Barrymore die within the first couple minutes, like, it just goes back to that theory of thought, like, oh, she's a main actress and she's in this lower budget movie, she can't possibly die, so, oh fuck, she's dead.
Kind of
like it puts you on your head to start.
Like Samuel Jackson and Dwayne Johnson in that one movie where they just die at the beginning. What was that movie? They get blown up with a grenade. Yeah.
I don't know.
With Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell.
Get Shorty?
No.
Let's be cops.
I know what you're talking about, though.
You've never done a desk pop? Never mind.
Well,
that went nowhere.
Where's your chirping crickets?
You talking about these?
Yep, there it is.
That's for me.
Oh man, that was a good one to end on. I like that one.
And yeah, I love those things, but Yeah, good episode, fellas.
That was our goth episode.
That was our goth episode.
Not very gothy. I'm just kidding. Well,
dark like my heart.
Next episode will be episode 9, and I'm going to be in charge of that one. I'm going to try a little something different here as we're going off. I'm going to let the listener, understand.
Why did that take me so long to do it?
To what I'm going to tell you every topic we're talking about the next episode. So we are going to be talking about the cinematic experience and how it has changed over the years and evolved or devolved. We're going to talk about the importance of shopping local. We're also going to have a game that I'll throw together for you guys, a quick one. We're going to do a movie review on a documentary that we were just introduced to last week.
Amazing.
Called At the Drive-In, about one of the last remaining drive-in movies.
Can we still have that popcorn?
Oh yeah, I'm sure we could.
Awesome.
You can almost taste the cocaine.
That's why it's got the pop.
Speaking of, kind of along those lines, our main topic is going to be medical marijuana and our opinions on if it should be legalized, keeping in mind that the three of us are straight edge. So that'll be an interesting one for our episode 009. And I'm also going to tell you guys this. On our next episode, I'm going to tell you guys for our episode 10, 10th episode, we're going to celebrate. We're going out of studio, and I've got a surprise lined up for you guys for our first on.
Hey, no. You're not allowed to do surprises.
Oh,
That's my thing.
Oh, no. I'm doing it. Number 10 it's a big episode. We made it that far. So
FDA hasn't shut us down yet.
We're going to be going on location for something fun and exciting. So I will tell you guys what it is on our next episode.
All right, everybody. Have a lovely night.
That was weak. Take 2.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode. Join us next time for more absurdity that only the guys from the Boundless PodTrap can bring you.